Hey everyone, I'm Boone from Shutterstock, and today I want to talk to you about documentary filmmaking. Now, more specifically, cinematography and documentary filmmaking. Now, I'm working on a project right now about expats living in Paris, and I was out on a shoot today actually, and I was shooting in a very run-and-gun style method, lone wolf. In these situations, you have to worry about everything yourself. You have to monitor the audio, monitor your exposure, try to capture good shots, worry about not stepping in a hole and breaking your ankle. It's really a lot and it can get stressful. So today in this tutorial, I want to show you a few tips and tricks that are going to make your life easier if you're shooting in that style. I'm going to go over some shooting techniques. We're going to talk about preparation. We're going to talk about gear. I'm going to show you the gear that I'm using on my shoot, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. So let's get into it. Now, there are a lot of different flavors and subcategories to the run and gun method, including cinema verite and fly on the wall or observational style. So it's really important to spend some time in pre-production way before you even pick up a camera to think about your visual approach or your shooting style that you prefer. Again, you might not have the luxury of creating a shot list or blocking out scenes as you would in a narrative piece, but you can still take the time to figure out how you're going to move along with your subject and hopefully capture these moments. For example, do you want your documentary subjects to acknowledge the camera's presence and interact with you, or would you rather be silently following them and documenting events as they unfold? While both of these approaches are interesting, they will give you very different results. For this particular shoot, I did a mixture of styles depending on what the situation called for or what I wanted to get out of the subject. You can really test out these techniques and see what feels right for your particular project. Now, even if I choose the fly on the wall style, the observational method of shooting, I still want to set some boundaries for each specific shoot so I can capture some action. One approach I like to take is to have shots or key sequences in mind that I would like to capture, but then leave the situation open for something interesting to happen. On today's shoot, I was profiling a tour guide in Paris. Now, while a sit-down talking head interview would have been a boring approach, following the subject around aimlessly with no plans would have been just as boring. For this particular scene, my subject is doing research for a tour that he's preparing to create. What's cool about this method is that I can capture his reaction to finding an interesting spot with the neighborhood or finding a cool monument, and even ask him questions along the way to grab some sound bites about his feelings at the moment, all of which is going to be very fresh, very genuine, much more natural than if I sat him down for a talking head interview. Knowing how to use your equipment is incredibly important, and as they say, practice indeed makes perfect. Even more so when your job is to document moments in real time when you don't have second takes to rely upon. The last thing you want to do is miss a shot due to your operator error. The best way to really avoid this is to simply go out and shoot and practice with your equipment. You want to be especially careful if you're working with rental equipment. You want to allot enough time to get to know how to use that equipment. And to be honest, just after a day of running and gunning, you're going to get to know your gear pretty well. By the time you're ready to shoot your piece, the equipment should ideally feel like an extension of your body. In my personal experience, audio is always the most difficult and troublesome aspect of documentary filmmaking. For this particular shoot, I was using a wireless mic on my subject, and I was capturing natural sound via my camera's internal microphone. I just needed to make sure that I had each input recorded to separate channels so that I could then split them in post for mixing. An even better setup would have been to have an on-camera shotgun microphone and then a lavalier on my subject. Now, this could have been the wireless lav or even a small audio recorder that I could have put in my subject's pocket attached to a wired lav. Now, if you're staying close to your subject throughout your shoot, a good shotgun mic mounted on the top of your camera can capture both the voice and the surrounding ambience. Ergonomics is always a very important part of my documentary setups, so I want my rig to be comfortable, I want all of the controls to be easily accessible, I don't want to have to dive into menus to find things. Some important camera features that I like include a wide-angle lens, internal ND filters, plenty of mounting options, and also some shooting presets, so if I'm moving from indoor to outdoor, I can just flip a switch or change a preset and then quickly go. I also use peaking and magnification to watch my focus, and I use a histogram and zebra lines to monitor my exposure. This particular rig provides all of these features. So I'm using the Ursa Mini Pro G2 from Blackmagic Design, and I have a number of accessories here to make it really run and gun friendly. These include the viewfinder, the shoulder mount kit, and the mini mic mount, which has a shock mount for shotgun microphones. And I'm using the Deity microphones. I have the S-Mic 2 from my shotgun setup and the wireless Connect from my lavalier setups. For the lens, I have a Sigma 18-35 f1.8 art lens. This is really great for handheld work. For storage and media cards, this is really important, especially when you're shooting RAW. I'm using Angelbird's Match Pack. This was specifically designed for this camera. It has 2 CFast cards and 2 SD cards. All these cards have the read and write speeds available for these high-end formats. I also keep a few release forms and a pen on me at all times. This is really important because if you forget to get someone's signature, it can be a problem later on and you might have to worry about blurring out their faces. So it's much easier to just carry those forms with you. Shooting a documentary can require capturing a lot of footage, so I want to select a format and a codec that provides a file size which is functional for my particular workflow and my budget. I'm shooting with the Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro and I'm capturing in RAW, which requires a good amount of storage space. So this can get expensive after just a few days of shooting, so I need to think about this in pre-production and I need to keep a close eye on this while I'm shooting. If you're working with limited resources, just try to find a format with a good balance of quality to file size ratio. Another problem I've encountered is managing and referencing the footage, so I'll need to find a good file naming scheme that will allow me to quickly find the files during post. And this is another thing that you really need to consider upfront before you start shooting. For this project, I'll use dates for file names and record with time of day timecode. So at the end of each shoot day, I'll make notes regarding what happened for the day, and as the file names are based on dates with timecode, I can quickly jot down the notes for that day and reference what happened on that particular time for that day while in post. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and let us know in the comments section how you like to shoot your documentary films. Do you like to go cinema verite? Do you like to go fly on the wall? Do you do talking head interviews? What kind of gear do you like to use? Let us know in the comments section. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next one.